Ed Orgeron was speaking at his first radio show, TJ Ribs, as they did have a small capacity audience there. They were not taking on-site questions. They were taking caller questions, and he was answering what will be different from this year's defense under new direction of Bo Pelini.
Using our speed, putting our players in a position to make plays. And, the 4-3 allows you to do that. We're not just going to sit back and let them dictate what they're going to do to us. We're going to dictate what they do to them. Bo's an excellent game day caller. The guy is the best defensive coordinator I've been with since Pete Carroll. He's from the Pete Carroll tree. But you know what? He brings a lot of energy. He brings a lot of excitement. The players want to play for him. I think that you're going to see more blitzing. We're going to blitz our corners, our safeties, our linebackers. You're going to see a lot of press coverage. You're going to see a lot of pressure on the quarterback, which you like.
The defensive hype train from Coach O is out of control right now. I mean, it is hurtling down the tracks, shoveling coal in. You can't shovel enough in. I mean, what was it? A couple of days ago, did he say it's the best defense that he's ever had at LSU?
Yeah.
Or he said it was farther along at this point than last year's was, like even way later into the season. He's now calling Bo Pelini the best DC that he's had since Pete Carroll. And look, I think a little bit of this is kind of, there's a little bit of Aranda subtext mix in there.
Sure.
Some shots for sure.
I mean, at this point, you've got to read into those.
Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, like
saying them too long.
He is subtweeting Aranda constantly with these things, but you still don't say them unless like you believe that they're true, because you don't want to put that out there and then have it go horribly awry. That just works against you in every way. So yeah, I'm getting, dude. Hey, we're going to see it. Week 1, you got Mike Leach, you got KJ Costello, Kylan Hill. See what you got.
From one side of the ball, new coordinator, to the other side, passing game coordinator Scott Linehan. What's new?
Finding out what our quarterback can do and let him do it best. Every quarterback's different. And we think that Myles has had a great camp. Scott has put in the passing game that Myles can do, that Max can do, that TJ can do, that our receivers can do. It's very similar to what we had last year, but it's a little bit different. Some different formations, some different routes. But overall, I thought Scott has done a tremendous job on our football team. He's a great professional. He's a great staff guy.
Good. I mean, look, that's what you want to hear of a coach. The bad coaches are the ones that just kind of stubbornly try to fit everybody into their scheme, square peg, round hole, and all that. You want a guy who's going to customize that attack to your player skill sets.
Orgeron was speaking of last year's offensive success and how they can pivot from this year and continue on that path.
Hey, you just got to look at the LSU standard performance. Look what we did well last year, but last year is last year. This is a different team. I told Myles Brennan, I said, Myles, I want you to be the best Myles Brennan that you can be, and there would be no comparisons to last year with Myles Brennan. Now, if he's as good as last year, I think everybody's going to be happy. But you know what? It's just be a different year. It's different players, but you know what? We are talented. I think you're going to see a better run game. I'm excited about our running backs. I'm excited about our young players. I'm excited about our offensive line. And you know what? We're going to run a lot of the same plays, but there's going to be some different schemes. It's just going to be a different flavor this year with a new coach, with a new passing game coordinator. I think it's going to be very successful.
Just got to try to be 60% of Burrow. If you can be 60%, I think that puts you at about 3,500 yards, 30-something touchdowns. You'd be golden if you can hit those metrics.
Here was more from O on Brennan.
Yeah, first of all, Myles has been the second guy for several years now, and he's done a good job. He's kept his mouth shut. It was Joe's team last year, but as soon as Joe's left, Myles became the leader. He's vocal, and he weighs 218 pounds right now. He's studied his tail off. Everything's all football, just like Joe was. The guy is taking command of the offense. He's making better decisions. He's extending plays with his feet, and I think the guy's going to be a great quarterback for us.
Never forget, Jordy. I've clowned myself for this multiple times. I remember that scrimmage I got to watch a couple of years ago, and I came out of that thinking that Myles actually looked better than Burrow. So, I know that it's easy to listen to what O's saying there and just kind of immediately dismiss it because, whatever. Of course he's going to say those things. But there is a lot of truth there. And what I really liked about that answer, it also shows a lot of the value that Myles gained in learning from Burrow last year, how he approaches the games in terms of study, in terms of being football 24/7, watching film, all of those things. It sounds like Myles has adopted a lot of those same techniques.
We're brought to you daily by AccuTemp. Remember, service to the highest degree. Get in touch with AccuTemp online at accutempbr.com. They will help you out with your commercial and residential air conditioning, heating, and electrical services. They spend over 100 hours per year training their technicians, electricians to stay on the cutting edge of industry innovations. You wouldn't let your car go unmaintained, neither should you let that happen to your AC unit. Get in touch with AccuTemp as they provide service to the highest degree every single time. They're online at AccuTempBR.com. More from Orgeron on the quarterbacks last night. He was speaking about Brennan, but he's being pushed by those two true freshmen in Max Johnson and TJ Finley.
He's done it, and he's getting pushed. Max Johnson and T.J. Finley are two outstanding young quarterbacks. And Myles is our starting quarterback. They have not beat him out, but I tell you what, he couldn't afford to have a bad camp, and those guys were right on his tail. And competition makes us all better. But I'm really excited about our quarterback group. I'm excited about our quarterback recruiting. I feel that Max Johnson is a championship quarterback. His dad's Brad Johnson, a championship quarterback. T.J. Finley has had an excellent camp, throws a great ball right there from Ponchatoula. Those guys are competing, and I'm very excited about all three quarterbacks.
Here's Orgeron speaking of some of the weapons that the quarterbacks will have at the running back spot.
Chris Curry has been phenomenal. Tyron Davis has been phenomenal. John Emery has been a home run hitter. But they're all different. I mean, the two of them are power runners. One of them is a fast runner, get on the edge, can also run inside, catch the ball out of the backfield, run the sweep. So I think you're going to see a combination of all three of them. But I'll tell you this, if one is hot in that game and the other team can't tackle them, we're keeping them in and letting them run.
That will be, in my opinion, the biggest difference in this year's offense versus last year's offense is if you think back to the beginning of the year last year, they were kind of trying to run the ball a bit more, and then they just realized like they just throw it. Just continue to throw it and run it every now and then. I think you're going to see a much heavier run game presence from this year's LSU offense, which is great because that alleviates a lot of the pressure off of Myles, and it also opens up an entire play action game that was there last year but wasn't really the focus given how successful you were.
Orgeron speaking about the wide receivers last night.
Very good group. I mean, those guys have had an excellent camp led by Terrence Marshall. I think he's going to have a breakout year for us, outstanding receiver. We got two great young receivers in Keyshawn Butte and Coy Moore. You guys are going to see them. And then again, we got Eric Gilbert, a tight end. I know we haven't talked about the tight end yet, but I consider him a receiver. He's 6'5", 250. And we can play him at X. We can play him at S. He's been phenomenal at camp. Racy McMahon has worked his tail off. Jontre Kirkland has worked his tail off. We think that we are really, really good. But you're going to see 6, 7 receivers rotating in and out. Again, we have 200 balls between Justin Jefferson and the guys that have left. So we got 200 balls to catch. So those guys are excited about catching a lot of balls.
Man, my jaw cramped up a little bit. Okay, so earlier in the show, I was talking about how I was watching some mic'd up NFL stuff, and I was just struck by how tough it is to get those energy levels up when you're in a stadium with not a lot of fans. Now, that'll be easier for LSU because they're going to have 25K there. But at the beginning of the show, I asked you, well, who's going to be that energy guy that gets it going for LSU defensively? You said Jacoby Stevens. Who do you think offensively can fill that role?
I got a couple. And the first one that jumps to mind is Racy McMath. I think if you spoke to anybody around the facility, around the program, McMath has always kind of been a leader in his own way. Even though he's been fighting for playing time, he's always had respect of his teammates. And now that he sees more playing time on the horizon, I think his voice gets a little louder in the locker room.
Yeah, for sure.
He's always carried weight. He's always had respect. But now that he'll be making plays every Saturday, he's a guy that jumps to mind. And then Chris Curry. I say that because every time Orgeron has a chance to speak about leaders on the team, he always mentions Curry. And I think that we as the public don't necessarily understand Curry's personality just because we haven't seen a lot of him. But when you ask around, he's a guy that he'll get in your face a little bit. You know? I mean, he'll motivate you. He'll ask for your best. And so I think he is a guy. I think Torrey Carter's a name that pops off.
Yeah, that's what Jesse says in the YouTube chats. Is Torrey Carter's my energy guy? He could definitely fill that role a bit. But to be like the guy, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, the team would probably respond to Carter. But at the same time, to be the guy, it helps if you're the guy, right? Like it's like on that Ravens team I was talking about. I can't get away from Mark Ingram and the energy that he was bringing to pregame, getting everybody fired up, or the energy that Travis Kelce was bringing to the Chiefs before their game. I love Racey McMath in that role.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, watch 17 bust out this season as he is in his money year out of New Orleans, and probably going to be that third wide receiver for LSU heading into next weekend's start. All right, Chad Durbin, we're late. We'll get Durbs next. Yeah, third
Off the bench with Kalana and T-Bob.
2 now, right?
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah,
moving up to 2. I'm sorry.
He's got the opportunity to get some numbers.